him up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling RHAPup's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock, cause I'm driving in Ferraris. And we coming every weekend, it's feeling like a party. Will like Ric Flair, showing out like Bianca Belair, Best podcast, flush it in the air, From the rings and we win it, don't care, No cap. Throw him up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling RHAPup's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock, cause I'm driving in Ferraris. And we coming every weekend, it's feeling like a party.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wrestling RHAPup. I'm not your host, Mari Forth, and instead, I'm your co-host, the Danhausen to Mari's Hook, the Brie Bella to Mari's Nikki, the Pat Patterson to Mari's Gerald Briscoe, Mr. Matt Scott. Matt, how are you doing? It is so weird to be here without Mari. I miss Mari. And for the first time, Mari is not on the podcast. Believe it or not, she did not quit the podcast after last week. The rumors of her demise are greatly exaggerated. She will be back next week, but I miss her. If someone wants to count how many times I mention Mari and say her name over the course of this time, feel free to do it. But Mari is off this week for Memorial Day weekend, traveling, seeing family, and you've got me. So let's see how this goes, and let's roll the dice. But speaking of rolling the dice, this week, hot off our episode last week, focused on Naomi and Sasha Banks, which was probably one of our most popular episodes and one where we had a lot of feedback and a lot of support. Thank you so much, everybody, for that. We'll be talking about AEW Double or Nothing. Easy for me to say. I will admit the scars from last week from WWE are still a little bit raw, so I'm going to leave it to Mari next week in doing the Hell in a Cell predictions to dive back into WWE. But for now, we are going to talk about AEW with two of the biggest AEW fans that I know. So, again, mention next week's Hell in a Cell. If you don't want to hear about AEW, that's great. But I want to catch up on AEW because it's been a while. Mari and I aren't the biggest AEW fans. So, you know what? I'm just going to bring in our first guest. Making his way to the podcast for the fourth time, or is it the third time? I'm not great at counting these things. You'll find him on channel 257 on YouTube, where he's all fun and games, or on Twitch, or on Instagram, or on Twitter. But wherever you find him, he's always on. He's not Mari. He's not sorry. He loves Mario Party. Please welcome Ari Ferrari.
No Mari, but drop the M. Keep the Ari.
Ooh.
The Ari Ferrari party. Ready to go double or nothing for tonight. Let's go.
How are you doing today, Ari?
I'm having a good time. You know what? I'm excited to get into AEW. I have so many thoughts, so many opinions that I've never been able to express. Just me in my living room yelling at Tony Khan. So I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah. I don't have much of a living room really in my apartment, but like I will say I resonate with yelling at Tony Khan. Before introducing our second guest, I'll also apologize because I might accidentally call you Mari over the course of this hour and a half or whatever it is that we have together. So just don't be surprised. Hopefully you'll respond to Mari also. Again, reiterating, we miss her on this week's podcast, this week's historic podcast without her. But you know what? Gonna introduce our next guest. And in the spirit of double or nothing, you know, I thought I can't just have one guest, have to have two guests. So here's a guest making his long-awaited RHAP Wrestling RHAPup podcasting debut. Please welcome, hailing from Hell's Kitchen, New York, by way of Connecticut, by way of Washington, D.C., and so many places in between. He's a former stand-up comedian for a short but successful run in, I think, 2015. I don't remember. I was there for most of his shows. He did most of the same jokes time and time again. I laughed every time. So hopefully he's good on this podcast. He's a map lover, a consultant, come on, information, a marathon runner, and one of my best friends over the last decade. Please welcome the Sonia Deville to my Mandy Rose, the Chuck Taylor to my Trent Beretta. Please welcome Ryan Coco Collins.
Oh man, The Coco Collins intro. Didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Matt. I've been sending you grumpy DMs for about a year, telling you to cover more AEW stuff on this podcast. So you finally gave in.
Yeah, grumpy DMs and also just passive aggressive in-person things too. That's the worst part about having actual friends who want to be involved in the podcast. But this is the perfect time to have you on, Ryan, as we talked about, because we're diving into AEW. Again, I'm not the biggest AEW fan, and I think, it's safe to say there are enough gripes that we could have with the Nick Khans of the world over in WWE, Tony Khans of the world over in AEW, but might as well get into it. So
either way, we're getting conned.
Oh, we are getting either way. We're getting cons. That should be the title of this episode. But you know what, Ari? To start out, because you mentioned talking to yourself in your living room, which sounds really sad, actually, about AEW. But like, we've talked with you about wrestling before. But what's your history with AEW?
I guess I just started watching it when it premiered. Get a nice alternative to what's happening in WWE, but I think mostly it's I've been having a lot of fun watching it live. They end up coming to New York a little bit more often than WWE was, and I've been to their shows quite a bit already. So that's been my take. Just been fun going with me and my brother, just hanging out and just commenting while we're at ringside or watching the matches. So when I'm not in my living room yelling by myself, I'm with my brother yelling with him. So I've just been enjoying the show. Something fresh, something different.
Yeah, love that. And you know what? We got, you're a New Yorker. I'm from the New York area initially. I think sometimes people hear my New York accent come out. Even though I'm from North Jersey, but whatever. But Ryan, you're in New York and you've been to an AEW show. Ryan, who are you, first of all, for those who don't know? And like, what's your history with wrestling, your current relationship with AEW? Just talk at us.
Yes. So I came to wrestling late in life. I've got adult onset wrestling. So I don't have the typical sort of watching the Attitude Era in the 90s, coming back to it later. I came in fresh as a fully formed adult back in like 2016, I think.
That's bold.
Yeah. So, and you were sort of pushing me deep into this black hole. I remember you bought me a signed Becky Lynch poster and matching Enzo and Cass t-shirts, which have aged poorly. But at the time,
it's like cut, edit it out. It's yeah, okay. We'll keep it in, but continue on. Keep going.
Big Cass is doing nice things in Impact nowadays.
Sure.
He's turned it around. Enzo, who knows? But so when I came in about 2017, that was about the time that the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were really blowing up in New Japan. That's why I watched Being the Elite. So I sort of got sucked into the early days of AEW and just sort of rode that train. So the first show I ever went to was Grand Slam in Queens last year, getting to see Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, Britt Baker and Ruby Soho with it was 30,000 people or something. So it's I've been there since day one, day zero, I suppose. So
look at that. So you know what, Ryan, just a note, if there are any embarrassing stories that you plan on telling about me on this podcast, you could do it. They will I probably won't take the effort to edit them out. It's cool. Just with moderation. But again, we're talking Double or Nothing today. But before we get into it, number one, I just want to tell people, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the Wrestling RHAPup. You could do that at robhasawebsite.com/wrestling feed. That's one of the things that helps us out most, just to make sure that people get the podcast, are notified each week, download the podcast, all that. So subscribe. Also, email us, wrestling@robhasawebsite.com. And on social media, you could use hashtag Wrestling RHAPup, or tweet me at MattScottGW to let us know what you think. And you know what? Also let Mari know what you think. She's on social media at Mari Talks Too Much 2, like the number 2. And you can also check out the show notes for a playlist of clips that go along with AEW. So there are actually a ton of clips this week if you want to catch up like I am, because I had to go through those to really catch up on AEW, make sure I knew my stuff a little bit. And also there are other links to learn more and follow our lovely, wonderful, talented, funny guests who no longer have to talk with themselves about AEW. And it's almost the start of the month. It's almost the start of June. So it's a great time to become a Rob Has a Podcast patron. We'll talk more about that. Mari will talk more about that, I'm sure, on the Hell in a Cell predictions episode next week, because I will be off because I'll be traveling next week. So have, again, separation anxiety from Mari. But I'm going to, by the way, Ryan, Ari, hopefully one of you is like taking a tally of how many times I say I miss Mari, because I know that she's listening.
17.
I'll try to refrain for the rest of the episode. But I'll also mention that there is the unofficial group on Facebook, Job as a Squadcast, where a bunch of listeners and other wrestling fans kind of come together to talk about wrestling and fun stuff. So if you want to be part of that group, just send me or Mari a message. Again, Matt, Scott GW, and Mari Talks Too Much. And also, finally, you can see our beautiful, handsome, debonair, gorgeous faces on YouTube. There's a video version of this podcast if you want to check it out. And you'll also be able to see some of the photos and things that we pull up, as well as probably like our wild reactions to whatever is going to happen over the course of our time together. No clue what to expect. But you could subscribe to and check out Rob Has a Podcast on YouTube at robhasawebsite.com/YouTube. Woo! But I want to get into something. I want to get into some of the business. Are you two ready to get into the business, get into the AEW talk, maybe some AEW news? Because there's a news story that Mari and I haven't really talked about too much.
Well, like CM Punk, we're all business. We're here, right? That's all we're all here to do. This is all business. So yes. I'm ready to start this business. Business is open for business.
Business is open for business.
Yes, business. Thank you. That's all we needed. And here we go. I want to talk actually about this news story with Tony Khan and MJF that's been going on for a while. Basically, I don't know if it's a work or if it's a shoot. It feels more like a shoot from everything I've seen, including some stories in Fightful Select, where there are a lot of great, well-researched news stories from Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful and the team there. But first of all, let me just ask before getting into it, do you two know what's going on? And could you explain to me what is going on with Tony Khan and MJF? Because it seems like MJF is working to, I would say to some extent, follow in the footsteps of Sasha Banks and Naomi. But what's going on here?
I'm thinking that this is all even if it's a shoot, it's a work, right? Because MJF is simply negotiating his contract, which isn't up for another 2 years. So he's starting now to let it be known, I am open for business. So honestly, all I really think is happening is that Tony Khan is the son of a billionaire who doesn't know how to run like a business, right? So he doesn't really know what he's doing. And he's just saying things. And then MJF is negotiating.
Yeah. Ryan, what's your perception of this? And also, any context on what is going on? By the way, shout out to Bruce in the background. We love a good four-legged friend, cute four-legged friend on the podcast. When I referred to our beautiful, debonair, gorgeous faces, I was mostly talking about Bruce. But
he's very excited to make his debut.
Yeah, what is going on here? What's happening?
Well, so MJF's contract is up in 2024, as Ari alluded to, but apparently he's been asking for more money on his contract up front. I mean, he's been at AEW since day one. He signed probably, a contract in line with what he was at the time, a sort of up and coming, but still small time indie star. And now that he's one of the pillars of the company, he's demanding more money. And personally, I mean, I want to think that it's a work, but I was saying that the whole Cody Rhodes situation was a work until the day he showed up at WrestleMania. So I don't think I'm the most qualified to make this call. But, I'm not so interested in figuring out how much of it is true, how much of his storyline. It does play into the storylines he's having right now. And I mean, that's the beauty of wrestling, the sort of blending of reality and the stories. So I'm enjoying the ride. Hopefully he gets paid, but who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting because I just like when I look at WWE and when I look at the other Khan, Nick Khan, or even at Vince McMahon, they seem to me to be like very capable at just manipulating the different pieces, and it's easy to be frustrated with them because they're really good at being the evil villains behind the scenes in a way. With Tony Khan, I just feel like he's kind of like this bumbling character where like he tweets things he shouldn't tweet, whether it's about like Mari and I have talked extensively about like Big Swole, and apparently you're talking with her and saying, oh, you're a great wrestler, and then tweeting that you're not one, and it's like, why are you putting this business out there? And I also just saw the story with Tony Khan that at a media call, I think it was this media call for Double or Nothing, he was referencing the contract situation with MJF and saying something to the effect of, hey, sometimes it's good for behind the scenes business to get out there. And MJF tweeted something in response to that, and
tweeted and deleted.
Is a kid show. Are we allowed to say
that?
I
mean, we could say it. What was the tweet? I don't have the tweet pulled up.
He said, effing LOL.
Yes.
This place is an effing joke.
Yes. And I'm seeing like effing LOL, F this place, man. And then he deleted it. So
the disgruntled employee.
Whew. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even the story that I have that the site that screenshotted it says, "Is this a shoot or is it a work?" Which is like the typical thing here. But I mean, maybe my bigger question, thinking of MJF, is like I keep thinking of the Naomi and Sasha situation, and that's like a whole other thing. We don't know what's going on there. I feel like we will find out. Mari and I will talk extensively about that when we get there. But I mean, if you're MJF, what do you do? Do you just continue to be unhappy and potentially tweet about it over the next 2 years? Or like what I don't know. What would you do if you were in MJF shoes, Ryan?
I mean, it seems like a lot to ask to just keep going for 2 years, being angry, tweeting your boss and deleting it every Friday whenever he says something you don't agree with. But I mean, at the end of the day, he's not it's not hurting the work he's doing in the ring. His storyline with Wardlow is probably one of the strongest storylines we have going into the Double or Nothing. He's still doing a lot of great work, be it promos, be it matches, be it just, conniving MJF stuff. So, I mean, in my mind, so far, so good, it just adds a layer of intrigue. It adds a layer of interest to it. I think it is sort of telling that in general, it seems like we're out of the honeymoon period with AEW now. Cody leaving back to WWE, and now the MJF situation, and, a lot of avoidable tweets by Tony Khan have gotten us into the stage where, maybe they're not the knight in shining armor to fight back against Vince McMahon anymore. They're going to have their problems. They're going to have their creaky relations with their talent as well. But, again, I think as long as MJF keeps putting out quality content, and as long as it, doesn't drive him out of the company, then I'm happy with it.
To Ryan's point, I really feel like MJF at the end of this is going to have 2 Burberry scarves, right? Like he's good. He's all right. I'm more concerned about, right? Like AEW, I feel like it's being run by the children from Arrested Development, right? Like I feel like if Buster were running a wrestling organization, that's what Tony Khan is. Like his eyes are wide. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just doing what comes to him first. But MJF, he'll be all right. Because to Ryan's point, all the matches, the performances, MJF is still killing it. He got cheered in Long Island.
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the match, and we'll kind of go through some of the stuff with MJF there. But this I keep referencing, and this will probably be one of the last times that I bring it up toward the start of or over the course of this podcast. But the Sasha and Naomi situation, and I feel like even the storyline with MJF is interesting because it's about letting Wardlow out of his contract, and it just very, Mari could tell you and others could tell you, like, I am very interested in contract signings and contract I'm not a lawyer, but I just think that, like, half the time when we see contract signings, number one, they don't make sense. That's a whole other story for a different time. But it's interesting that we're getting so much of this contract talk behind the scenes and on camera, and then also references even in some of the storylines to the contract talk. I think last week, Mari and I probably mentioned, just when it comes to AEW and the Sasha Naomi situation, CM Punk's comments, which were in support of them and saying you have to stand up for workers and stand together and band together and all that great stuff. And actually, I just saw another comment, I think yesterday, from Ruby Soho commenting on the situation. Actually, it was a video I was watching of an interview with her. And she basically just said, like, I believe that everyone has different experiences. And, I believe that people should stand up for themselves. It was really powerful. And so it is good to see people standing together. I hope that, I hope that MJF's happy and okay and does what's right for his career. I kind of feel like that in general for these wrestlers. But do you all have any thoughts on what to make of this? I don't know. It just feels like kind of a tumultuous time in wrestling when it comes to contracts for people. And yeah,
I think to fit the theme of the storyline with CM Punk and Adam Page, it's all business. You know what I'm saying? Before, no one was ever able to negotiate, but nowadays you have some leverage. You can go here, you can go there, and I feel like the world's opening up a little bit more to there is more competition. So I think it's just all business for everybody.
Yeah. Ryan, thoughts on this business layout? Ari, I like how business, you're about the bottom line. We love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening everywhere. I mean, you've got MJF and AEW, you've got Sasha and Naomi in WWE, whatever the heck is happening with Mustafa Ali leaving and coming back.
Yep.
I mean, even if you look over in Japan, they've got the head of New Japan Pro Wrestling formally apologized to Kota Ibushi for offending him. So, I mean, it's a worldwide thing. We're seeing it not just in wrestling. It's the great resignation. Workers have power right now. And, it's only a matter of time till it makes its way to the ring.
Yeah, worker power. Woo! Let's go. Let's get our signs and go protest. By the way, this is a great time to take an ad break. So we'll be back in a little to come back for to talk about AEW Double or Nothing. All right, we're back. Ryan, how do you feel about those ads? Weren't those some good ads?
Incredible. I just bought 10 of whatever it was.
I'm subscribed.
Yeah. So great. And we love those ads. Thank you to the sponsors and people who add stuff. Yeah, great ads. Anyway, now it's time to talk about AEW Double or Nothing happening this Sunday in Las Vegas. And it's coming up. Normally, if we were doing a true bona fide pay-per-view predictions show, we do it a few days in advance of the show. But I figured we're recording this show anyway on Saturday morning, peek behind the scenes. Might as well get into Double or Nothing. If anyone wants to watch it, there's still time to listen to this podcast and catch up on AEW and what's up with AEW. But, one thing I want to ask from the two of you, maybe beginning with Ari, is do you have any overall thoughts or anything you're most excited by when it comes to Double or Nothing 2022?
Nah, I just put it on and enjoy the ride. I don't. I've been watching this for way too long to get too high or too low.
To get too invested.
Yeah, man. I'm here for a good time. I'm not here to write notes, watch the moves. I'm here to poke fun and see what's been going on. But I guess if I have to pick one, It's going to have to be the AEW World Championship.
Okay. And we're going to dive into that. We'll touch on that first. Ryan, anything that you're most excited to watch this Sunday at Double or Nothing? That felt like an ad.
I gotta say, I mean, compared to the lead up to past AEW pay-per-views, I've been a little underwhelmed with the storylines going into this one. Not quite as excited as I have been for other major AEW events, but I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, AEW has never put on a bad pay-per-view. So, I mean, I'm still optimistic. I'm still going to watch, obviously. And if I had to pick one, I'm probably going to the Tag Team Championship. I mean, they've got a deep roster in the tag division, and I think it's just going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we'll get there to Jurassic Express, Team Taz, Keith Lee, and Swerve, who I don't think have a team name yet, but we'll get there. Anyway, let's dive in. And so we'll be talking through Double or Nothing, as I mentioned, but I guess we'll all kind of be giving our predictions as we talk about it. Let's just see how this goes. But the first match we will talk about is AEW World Champion Hangman. Okay, so let me just put this out there. Jim Ross is always like it's like the way he says it is Hangman, but
Hangman.
It's
Hangman.
Hangman. Okay, so I guess it's the same thing, right? So Hangman Adam Page, the champ, versus CM Punk, and first of all, I'm very confused about this match. I'll just give a little background. From what I understand is that basically CM Punk challenged Adam Page about a month ago, and it got really tense really fast. But at the same time, and CM Punk has said this multiple times in multiple promos, I don't know why you're taking this so personally, which to me seems to be the odd story of the feud, because I also don't know why Hangman Adam Page is taking this so personally. But yeah, just to kind of recap a little bit of this. So, we have the challenge come out there. Page accepted immediately. He was very upset. JR on commentary referred to a very motivated Hangman Adam Page. But again, I don't know what his motivations are. So we saw this whole thing where Punk beat John Silver, hit him with the buckshot lariat. We went on to see Adam Page beat somebody else, someone else who I can't even remember, with his own GTS move. So they've had like this petty thing going on, but I don't understand why they're fighting each other personally. Could you all like fill in gaps for me or explain to me what's going on? Maybe Ryan, to just start out explaining what this deal is.
I gotta say, I don't understand why they're fighting. I don't understand why he's taking it so personal. They haven't really explained to us. I mean, there's been limited interaction between the two. You've got these two megastars that are fighting. This should be a big deal. And I just think it's been a sort of vague buildup. There's a lot that we could tap into under here. If Hangman is able to beat CM Punk, then he will have defended his title against Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, and CM Punk successfully. All three of the mega superstar signings that AEW made last fall. There's a lot of, if you want to get niche behind the scenes, some intrigue with Colt Cabana and CM Punk that we could tap into. They seem to be alluding to it on the sides, but so far, from a pure what's happened in the ring and on the screen, I don't know what the storyline is between these two.
Well, okay, wait. I'm not gonna skip over the Colt. So I'm familiar with the Colt Cabana CM Punk drama from It's Wild. Is like, now it's probably nearly 10 years ago, like 9 years ago, that it started as Punk was leaving, or after he left WWE. There was a whole podcast that Punk finally did with Colt Cabana, Notorious podcast, talking about his departure from WWE. And I remember him referring to a lot of just like the ways that things were mishandled in terms of his health, in particular, his release that he received on his wedding day, thanks Triple H, and shout out to his wife, AJ Brooks Mendez, whichever you'd want to call her, former AJ Lee. But what is going on these days? Because there was a lawsuit between Punk and Colt Cabana, and then now they're working in the same company. basically in the same storyline, if you think of how the Dark Order is connected to Adam Page. So what, I don't know if that's the backgrounds that you're going to give, but what else is there, Ryan?
Well, so this is reading way between the lines, but as you mentioned, Colt Cabana and CM Punk have a lot of history, and when CM Punk came to AEW, there's a lot of question. Well, Colt Cabana's here. How's that going to play out? And what we've seen in the past few months is that Colt Cabana has been kind of MIA, and there's been rumors that he's only going to appear in Ring of Honor now. He's not going to be on AEW. He was in Australia filming for Young Rock for a little bit, so that explains some of it. But, I mean, Colt Cabana is a member of the Dark Order, and when Hangman gave his promo against Punk this week on Dynamite, he said that, I'm defending AEW from you. You talk about workers' rights, but you don't back it up. And there's a lot of murmurs around, like, is that sort of a dig at him pushing Colt out of the company? I don't know, but I'm just saying that's just one of the examples of a lot of the sort of wells that they could tap with this story that they really haven't so far. Just sort of whispers and murmurs.
Damn, I've never been sued by a coworker, so I can't relate.
You haven't?
No, never.
No comment.
We'll see how the rest of the podcast plays out.
Yeah. No, Mari and I are actually in the middle of a lawsuit, and she's we can't
filming
be
Young
on the
Rock
podcast together while we resolve it.
She's traveling and visiting family this weekend,
right? And I'm traveling for work next week, quote unquote. Yeah, while we resolve our legal issues between each other. That's a wild situation, and I think that's a good thing to bring up actually, because I haven't heard Colt Cabana come up in the conversation much at all. But kind of back to this storyline, I don't know, Ari, you mentioned kind of being most excited about this. Like, what is it for you that does it for you?
I think it's so we can move on from Adam Page. I really liked him when he first started. I felt like he had a lot of potential. I like his song, probably the only recognizable theme song in all of AEW, but I think it's quite clear now that these new guys are in, he's on a lower level, you know what I'm saying? CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, those guys are on another level, another tier compared to guys like Adam Page, right? Like, Adam Page keeps saying that he's going to embarrass CM Punk, but I feel like the only person getting embarrassed is Adam Page when he's on the mic. Like, he is not good. Like, why is he so angry? I feel like he's reading a shopping list, but he's saying it like angrily. Like, I need to go get eggs and get some milk too. Like, all right, dude, like, calm down. We're just gonna go shopping. You don't have to yell. And I also don't understand the whole like cowboy bit or gimmick. Like, homie is fresh to death. You know, I like to talk about fashion up in here, but if he's supposed to be a dirtbag cowboy, why is he coming out here with the freshest shape up I've ever seen? It's like, does he travel with the Dominican barber all the time?
Oh my God.
Zipping him up every time. He's looking good.
Look, here's what I'm gonna say is I don't get the cowboy thing, but I will say I also recognize like we've talked about Adam Page before on this podcast. You know, sometimes certain wrestlers just aren't really for you. He doesn't connect with me, but maybe I don't know. I feel like there's something about the cowboy thing that I'm like, I don't know about this. And then I didn't realize that like he had this gimmick of, an addiction is very serious. We know this, but like alcoholism. And I don't even think he was actually an alcoholic. And I was so confused because I'm like, what? I don't understand how this story works. I don't know where it came from. So I feel like there's some stuff to catch up on there. But the big thing I'll say about about Hangman Adam Page is that as I've watched this storyline between him and Punk progress, I thought like, Page, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Like, don't be upset when CM Punk does the buckshot lariat. CM Punk himself took the go to sleep from like I want to say Kenta in Japan. I believe that's who it was. And so there's a history of people doing each other's moves, but actually Punk actually made that same comment the following week. And other than that, there's just not a lot here, but I will say that there was something a few weeks ago, I think in their first confrontation, where Punk mentions like, one way or the other, win or lose, whether you're unconscious or conscious, I'm going to shake your hand at the end of our match of Double or Nothing, which is just like hopefully he's conscious for that, because that's kind of weird otherwise. But
do you guys remember the game when you were in elementary school, Hangman?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we call it Wordle now, right? Is it Wordle?
It's like, yeah, it's basically Wordle. Also, if you see me on the YouTube version looking around for things, it's for a pen, because I've literally been just trying to play Hangman by myself to entertain myself talking about this match. But no,
we're not entertaining you.
Yeah.
Adam Page is so soft now. I'm gonna call him Wordle. Adam Wordle Page. I feel like it just seems a little goofier. Like Hangman sounds badass, right? But he's more of a Wordle guy. Like his promos are very generic, very baby.
I would love to hear how JR says Wordle.
Wordle. Adam Wordle Page coming down.
Ugh. Oh gosh. This is taking me places. Look, Adam Wordle Page, incredible. Anything else that you two would mention just about this match? It's interesting because it is the main event, but also there's more interesting stuff happening otherwise on the card. I mean,
right, the prediction, I'm gonna go with CM Punk gonna put Adam Page to sleep, and I hope we just get a new direction into the main event over here, and let Punk carry the promotion for a while. Like, he's on top of his game, and he's very believable, right? Like, I want to get to a point where I want nothing more than for CM Punk to lose.
Wow.
Take me to that journey.
Yeah, and I will say, like, Punk is getting, at least from what I saw, a good amount of boos along the way too, which is very interesting. And I guess both of them are for different reasons. But Ryan, what's your prediction for this match?
I'm predicting a CM Punk win as well. I mean, unlike you guys, I am a big Hangman fan, but he's a babyface champion, and the most interesting part of that story is always when the babyface is chasing the gold, going for the belt. Once they have it, I mean, it's just loses steam, and I think his reign has sort of stalled out a little bit. I think CM Punk could take the belt in a whole new direction, open up a lot of cool new storylines for us, so I'm ready for it, and I think it's about time.
Yeah, and you know what? If I have to give a prediction here, and by the way, I will say, damn, this Mari counter is real, and I'm gonna have to go back and actually count. I wish I had like a little
19.
graphic or a producer to like put up the number in the corner, because she does point out, and I don't know if I always agree with it, but it does end up being true in practice oftentimes. Like, face versus face feuds just often aren't great, and then this one's kind of goofy just because you're like, why are you mad, Paige? Why are you mad? But I'm gonna actually go with, just to be contrarian here, Adam Wordle Page will be my pick to retain the AEW World Championship. But I could see Punk winning here. He's back in Vegas, where he referenced the biggest moment of his career, which I think was his like pipe bomb promo, but back in the day, almost 10 years ago. But anyway, we're gonna go with Paige there. So let's go on to some other stuff in this card, and I don't know, there are a lot of directions we could kind of go in, but let's talk about this this women's championship match, actually, between Thunder Rosa, who's the champion, and Serena Deeb, the professor of pro wrestling. I think that's her official gimmick. But what? Okay, talk to me. So someone, one of you.
For anyone watching the YouTube version, I'll tell you what I want to bring up. Again, I love to talk fashion. When I saw Thunder Rosa giving that promo, she looked like Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world is Thunder Rosa? I love it. Thunder Rosa is such a badass. I feel like every time I see her matches, it feels like those Saw movies. Like, she's always bleeding. Like, if I can describe Thunder Rosa matches, it's torture porn. Like, she's always like blading herself, and she's insane. So I'm a big Thunder Rosa fan. I like what she brings to the table. So actually, I do like all of her matches, and I think when it comes to her battling the professor, oh man, she delivers her lines like the voiceover in a wrestling video game. Like there's no passion behind it. It's just words. Like is an AI delivering the lines?
Damn, don't come for Rosa like that. Don't come for Rosa. Ryan, first of all, what do you think of the fashion of Thunder Rosa here in this epic promo, by the way, where she took off the face paint to preview Double or Nothing?
Incredible look. She's an undead Carmen Sandiego, which is, a powerful new gimmick. I think that's a bold new frontier for her. Big Thunder Rosa fan. I don't know who isn't. I mean, she puts on an incredible match every time she's out there. I've been waiting for her to get her hands on the belt for a long time. Serena Deeb, I really didn't know much about her.
Wow.
As I mentioned, I'm a adult onset wrestling fan, so I missed her in the Straight Edge Society back in the day.
Yeah.
Didn't know why they were giving her so much screen time in AEW, but her sort of feud with Hikaru Shida really sort of upped her stock, upped her level in my game, and made her a legit challenger. But I'm a Thunder Rosa stan every day, so I'm rooting for her to end things quickly.
Yeah, and just to kind of recognize Serena Deeb a bit here and give her her flowers, as we like to do. Serena she's been at it for a long time. Like, I feel like she debuted in wrestling probably closer to 20 years ago than 10 years ago. Like, she's been at it. Oh, definitely closer to 20 years ago than 10 years ago, now that I think about it. But she's been at it. She's been working hard. And I think one thing that I always appreciated about Serena Deeb is she was just like this women's wrestler in every sense of the word. And, we don't, Mari and I don't look down on the Divas era of wrestling, of WWE. I think that it was kind of things have gotten a lot better for the women in a lot of ways, but at the same time, that had its place. It was what it was. There was a lot of great stuff that happened that you could look back on and appreciate. But Serena at that time was just this pure wrestler who was able to bring so much of herself on the independent wrestling scene. And then she ended up in WWE, in the Straight Edge Society. Didn't have the opportunity to wrestle there, and didn't have the opportunity to show her stuff. She shaved her head, as she mentions, and I guess it was before this point, because she even referenced this in one of the promos leading up to Double or Nothing. She got breast implants, changed herself like completely for this business. And I love this story because I see and understand the motivation from Serena Deeb and why she is so upset. If you have been and I think I'm going to start pointing this out more and more, but like literally like killing yourself, like you're hurting yourself, you're harming yourself, you are putting yourself on the line each and every time you wrestle. And you're that's what Serena's been doing. And to not be appreciated fully by Tony, by Dustin Rhodes, who are talking about how Rosa's going to win, about how Rosa is Dustin's mentee. Like, I feel Serena here, but I actually want to ask about just one of the beats in this story, which was there's a segment that happened a few weeks back where I think in the ring we had Dustin Rhodes, we had Tony, they were talking about Thunder Rosa, and then Serena came out and basically just beat everyone up, including Thunder Rosa. But I kind of thought that was badass, that she's like, let me just beat up this man and also Thunder Rosa. But what have you thought of Serena overall? We've given Rosa her flowers, but I want to talk a little bit more about Serena.
Yeah, I mean, she's been making a name for herself. I mean, again, she already had a name in the industry. She's been here a long time, but I mean, she had some classic battles with Hikaru Shida. I was super impressed with, it's Hikaru Shida, so I mean, she's going to have a good match with everyone, but I mean, they put something special together. I think that really sort of rose her to the top of the women's division. I'm happy that she's getting a big spotlight on a major pay-per-view right now. She deserves it, but she's no Thunder Rosa.
Oh, you know what? I definitely didn't give her any flowers about her promo work and her mic skills, but in the ring, she is very, very good.
I thought you were going to bring up her outfit again, because I was going to pull up the image again if you want to.
Let's just look at it for a little.
I'm talking about Serena.
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm talking about Serena. I didn't give her flowers. I took them away. I took away Serena's flowers for her mic work.
How dare you?
So I want to give it back for her ring work. She's actually very good and very believable. So I regardless of what I feel or who's going to win, I believe this is actually going to be a really good match just because both of them know what they're doing. I think there's a lot of value in someone like Serena that's been around the world and can bring and incorporate so many different things she's learned into AEW and just this match in general, and being able to mesh with different styles. And Thunder Rosa has a very like intensive she does a lot of springboards and she lunges like straight at you, like that kind of stuff. So I feel like this match is gonna be very good regardless of how I feel about the mic work. Like she gets the E for effort.
You know what? I appreciate her mic work. To give her a little bit more credit, it feels very cerebral. It's not natural. It's not casual. It kind of sounds like she might kill you, and that's what I think that's what the professor needs. When have you ever had a professor who you're like, oh, I like this is a phenomenal teacher, phenomenal professor? No. Sometimes you're thinking, I'm going to get the F in this class. Like, this is the end of it for me. That's the energy that I'm getting from Serena. It's just that everything is like going downhill, and hopefully you end up with I was going to say end up with the D instead of the F, but I feel like someone's going to clip that and take that out of context. Predictions.
There will be blood,
okay.
And Thunder Rosa will win.
Okay.
I'm going with Carmen Sandiego on this one.
Thunder Rosa. I'm gonna go with Thunder Rosa, but mostly because she didn't she just win the championship? And was that March that she just won the championship? Yeah. So she's a new champion. It would be in my mind more of a WWE move to take the championship off of someone after such a short time, and AEW does a lot of that longer term storytelling. So let's go with that. We'll go with that. But keeping it in the women's division, kind of bouncing around the card a little bit, probably to a match that's a little bit earlier on the card. I want to talk about the AEW TBS Championship with one of my faves in AEW, one of my favorite acts in AEW, Jade Cargill, who is the champ, the undefeated champ, accompanied by Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet, her baddies, versus Anna Jay. And if you're watching on YouTube, I just want to apologize because I found this image on Twitter. I do not know where the picture, for some reason, they didn't use the official promo pictures of Jade and Anna Jay. I don't know where they took these screenshots from, but anyway, Mari and I've talked about how AEW needs to work on organizing some of their imagery a bit, but Jade and Anna Jay. I know a lot about Jade Cargill, but I don't know as much about Anna Jay, or she doesn't resonate with me as much. Has she connected with either of you? Is there anything there that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, she's cut out a niche for herself for sure. She came out of sort of Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory. She was one of sort of the star trainees there, got put on the AEW roster relatively early on, I think the first year of the promotion, and kind of fit in with the Dark Order.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's had great moments with the Dark Order. She's really sort of thriving on sort of the YouTube shows where the Dark Order lives most of the time. She obviously had a great moment at the Brody Lee in memoriam show. She's had a great partnership with Ty Conti.
Oh yeah.
She's really popped up in a lot of sort of small areas, but she's not on Jade Cargill's level, but I've appreciated some of the stuff she's put together.
Yeah, because for a second, as you were saying that, Ryan, I actually thought that you were describing Jade Cargill, because she was in the Nightmare Factory. She was also put on TV pretty early. Her debut match was tag team match with Shaq. So that's, there was a lot there. They have a lot of similarities. It's interesting. But it is interesting because you also mentioned Tay Conti, and that's a name that's much more recognizable, I think, to AEW fans or to casual fans. Obviously, she had her time in WWE, so she was even recognizable prior to AEW. But yeah, Anna Jay, what I've always gotten from her is that she's beloved, but kind of like in AEW, one of these AEW people, I guess that's what she is. That's where she works. So good job, Matt, with that deep analysis. Ari, anything to add, especially just about Anna Jay, or even if you want to dive into Jade Cargill, we could.
We love good fodder for powerful champions, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah.
I think Anna Jay is just good old fashioned fodder, and you know what? She's not bad in the ring. So but like, you guys tell me, Jade's matches don't last very long, do they?
No, and she did just have a match that, at least on AEW's YouTube, they referred to as her toughest challenge yet with Marina Shafir, which was maybe her longest. So I want to say it was like 8 to 9 minutes.
Ooh, 8
maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, plus a few minutes for the introductions. But she's growing. I want to say she's growing. But yeah, her matches typically are shorter by design of that character. But we have seen her have some longer ones, right?
I think this match is just more of a showcase. Look how much of a badass Jade Cargill is.
Yeah. Yeah.
She should be in the Wardlow gimmick. She should be in handcuffs and ripping them every now and then.
Look, there's in my book. Look, Jade Cargill does well. I don't want to say she scares me. Honestly, if I'm being real here, I would want to be one of her baddies in her baddie section in the crowd, holding up a sign and wearing like I don't know what the equivalent of like a little black dress is for me, but something like that equivalent, and cheering her on like, yes, Jade, yes.
Oh, I'm a baddie for life. Absolutely.
Baddie for life. Yeah, we're gonna get in that baddie section when they're in New York. The three of us will be there. Mark my words. Jade, if you're listening, because we know you're a big listener of the Wrestling RHAPup, of course. We're your baddies. Ari, you're big on the fashion, by the way. What's your baddie look?
The baddie look, I haven't thought that far ahead. Now you've put me on the spot. What is a baddie look? Is it like a midriff? Should I show stomach?
You could do whatever you want.
Should I use dollar bills as a fan? Is that how it works?
That works. She does have a lot of currency on her, so we'll work on it. We'll figure it
international out. Money too. She's like wiping her brow with like the Queen of England. Like it's I love it.
They haven't even been on a European tour. Like, where do you get that from? And why are you like? It's just inconvenient. You can't like go down the street to Walmart and exactly.
Go to the money exchange. Get some greenbacks.
Thank you. Yeah. So look, Jade, speaking of Jade, Ryan, I don't know how much you've talked about Jade yet, but I feel like you probably have some insight or something on Jade. Again, one of my favorite wrestlers out there, because I think I appreciate a good undefeated streak, but I also just appreciate the idea of them committing to a character for so long, which is what AEW has done. And the numbers are legit, like in terms of her streak, which I think is about at 40-0 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I love the gimmick. She's the female Goldberg, she's just dominant. She's powerful. She gets the job done, gets out of the ring. I think with Jade, it's less about the fashion. I think we just got to work on having 6-packs anywhere near her level. That's how we show our appreciation for Jade. That's the baddie look.
I'm not ready. I'll have to look up the AEW event schedule, and hopefully their next New York show is never happening, because I don't know.
We'll need some time. We'll need
a lot of time, or we could get like some paint or one of those bodysuits.
I'll get a magic marker. Isn't Jericho a wizard? Yeah. Can he give us abs?
Chris Jericho.
Yeah, Chris Jericho is a wizard. He can make it happen.
I honestly, I would, if we had Jericho's abs, we could definitely make it into the baddie section. Okay, so predictions for this match. Let's just dive into those.
I mean, it's Jade all the way. I appreciate Anna. I mean, but come on.
It's
maybe the prediction should be, how long will this match last? Over and under 3.5 minutes.
That's what you. Yeah, Ryan, what do you think? How long will this match be?
I'm taking the under on that.
Taking the under. I'll take the over. But are we including the introductions and the entrances?
It's bell to bell. Bell to bell.
Bell to bell. I'll take the over.
I'm gonna go with the over or 2, 3.5 minutes isn't a long time, but like 4 minutes, because like Anna Jay is well respected, and you've both kind of laid out more of her accolades, which like are valid, and again being part of TJ and everything else. So I feel like we're going to see the fight. I wonder if Takani is going to be out here. Who knows? I don't know, but I do know that Jade is going to win. Come on, baddies. Let's go, baddies. Next up, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about I don't know which one of you said the 3-way tag team match. Was it Ryan mentioning the 3-way tag team match as the yeah. So let's talk about this. We have Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, aka I want to call them Lucha Express, but they're Jurassic Express, versus Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, aka Team Taz. Yeah, look, Ryan, this is your match, the match of the night for you potentially, I'm guessing. Tell me more about what is going on with these people.
I mean, I'm just excited for a 3-way tag match all the time. And you've got a lot of talented athletes in there. There's going to be a lot of shenanigans, all sorts of just sort of flippy nonsense. That's my preferred brand of wrestling. And I mean, Keith Lee and Swerve, I think they're going by Limitless Swerve now, potentially, as their team name.
Very creative.
I mean, two guys who obviously have made a name for themselves in the world, need to do something big. And I think this could be a really big showcase for them. I'm a big Keith Lee guy. I would love to see him take the belt here. Nothing against Jurassic Express. Obviously, Luchasaurus. I got to say, whenever I show non-wrestling fans AEW, they love Luchasaurus. That's the person they remember. The giant flippy dinosaur man. He really makes an impact. I mean, I love him too. Team Taz, I mean, I think they're the sort of fodder in this match, honestly. I mean, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks are great guys, but I think this is really going to be a spotlight match for Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Ari, anything just off the top as we start to talk about this match?
Yeah, this match has a lot of beef, right? Like, I feel like it's a tag team of like USDA huge beef. You got Keith Lee, Luchasaurus, and then Powerhouse Hobbs, and then their BFFs are like their little buddy,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yes. Like they're not even like people, right? I'm sure they're big and strong, but when you compare it to all this, they look like Slim Jims, right? Like they're very small people. So that's my biggest observation about this. And I love Luchasaurus without him even saying a word. Like, what is that? Why does he have so much charisma?
Well, maybe he has so much charisma because he has experience being on reality TV as part of Big Brother, because he was on I always mess up my Big Brother seasons. Big Brother 16, Austin from Big Brother 16. He's a charismatic, likable, large man. I also will say my biggest observation here is that, these are 3 pretty even teams. You got your 3 big boys, in Keith Lee, in Luchasaurus, and in Powerhouse Hobbs, who I don't love, but and then you also have the little flippy ones. You have your big boys and you have your little boys, Swerve, Jungle Boy, and Starks. And so, it's really interesting. And, lots of big meaty men slapping meats, as Big E would say. How many times have we said the word big in the last 5 minutes? We need a statistician for this podcast is the thing that I'm realizing. But, thinking about this, kind of what's led to this match, because, again, there's for me, for a lot of the matches on the card, it's like, wait, why are they fighting? But for this one, I know that Swerve and Keith Lee officially qualified to have the match at Double or Nothing versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. And again, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have had the championship since beating the Lucha Bros not too long ago, several months ago, I guess at this point. And then Hobbs and Starks just came out and we're like, hey, we want matches. Don't come in here and do things, because I mean Swerve and Lee are newer, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of what the match ended up happening. And we did see a 3-way match between Starks, Jungle Boy, and Swerve, where Swerve got the win, pinning Starks. But I don't really know. I think you kind of mentioned, I think it was Ryan, that Hobbs and Starks are kind of the fodder of this match, but I don't know. Is there anything else notable about this match, about this feud? It seems like it's going to be a great match. But actually, before you answer that question, Christian Cage, I want to bring him up. What? How do I phrase this? Does he think he's part of Jurassic Express? Because he's not in the team. He's just there outside of the ring with them. And I watched a promo where he's saying, "We're the best. We're going to challenge you." And I'm just like, Christian, stand back. You got your boys, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. He could talk, right? Probably. Luchasaurus probably can't talk, but you don't need to do the talking. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm just overwhelmed by the number of people, which is actually a theme with AEW, and it's going to continue through this card. But I'm going to just stop talking and see if there are any thoughts or reactions to anything I just said.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it if Christian Cage makes an appearance as their wise elder mentor. Matt here got me a cameo from the one and only Christian Cage for my wedding. It's the best gift I got, better than the toasters that I put on my registry. I don't know. I think the match will be good. I think we've missed an opportunity for a great gimmick match with this big guy, little guy dynamic. You know how like Jungle Boy will somehow just hang out on Luchasaurus's shoulders? I'm pitching a full chicken fight rules tag team match. Ooh. Big guy, little guy, just knock each other over. Last one standing gets the belts.
Get them in a pool, preferably. That'd be a nice gimmick. Get them in a pool.
Pool in Vegas. That's dirty.
Plenty of pool parties in Vegas. Why not? Decide a champion that way.
Don't go in a pool in Vegas. There's definitely going to be glass in the pool, and it's not a good way to end your wrestling career. Like, oh, man, I cut my foot. Predictions, though, for this match.
My prediction is based on this. And, Ryan, I might need your help on this. I always think of the song that Jurassic Express keeps coming out to. Mm-hmm. How much is Tony Khan paying for those rights? Because if it's a lot, Jurassic Express ain't winning.
It's like I don't know wait, what song is that? Is that like I feel like it's like Every Step You Take, but it's not that song. It sounds like that
song. Yeah. Are we gonna get a DMCA by humming it?
No, and
it's called Tarzan Boy by Baltimora.
Oh yeah, Baltimora.
Made famous in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the movie.
Oh, obviously. You have such a great memory.
Obviously. Yeah. So my prediction is going to be based on that. If it's very expensive, I don't see Jurassic Express winning. The rights to music nowadays, who can afford them? So I think I'm going to go with, I think AEW wants to spotlight Keith Lee. So let's give him the tag title, and he can showcase himself and be a big badass while he's in the tag team until it's his time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to pay the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for rights, I know they're sticklers, so I'm sure the bills are piling up. I'm also going to go with Keith Lee and Swerve here. I think, they're big names. They need to make a statement early on the roster, and I think this is a great opportunity. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have had a great run, but I think it's time.
Look, I have a bold prediction here. Do you like me hyping up my prediction? Thank you.
Hyped.
So I don't think that Keith Lee and Swerve are going to win, especially because Swerve got that win with the Swerve Stomp. I don't think that they need this win to get over. And I'm looking at Christian Cage. I'm going to say this. I think that Christian Cage might turn on Lucha and on Jurassic Express. And maybe somehow Hobbs and Starks are going to win. I don't want it, but if I predict it and I'm right, then that would feel good. But also, if I'm wrong, that would feel even better. So it's a win-win. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm doing here? I'm
playing all the sides.
The 3 to 5 7-dimensional chess, maybe one of those levels. Yeah, it's coming together. But okay, let's move on from this one, and we're gonna go into a break soon. But first, let's talk about MJF versus Wardlow. This is a big one. There's a lot happening here, and in my mind, this is like the hottest feud on this whole card, or at least one of the hotter feuds on this whole card, at least of the matches that we've talked about. And this match, one-on-one match between MJF and Wardlow, who used to be on the same side and be allies and friends, but if Wardlow wins, he will be granted his release from his contract with MJF, which I think I might need some clarification on what that contract says exactly, because I don't think I totally understand how that's limiting him, but whatever. And then if MJF wins, Wardlow will be permanently banned from signing with AEW. So this is almost like I don't know if this would be I wouldn't call it like a loser leaves town situation. I think I guess the more that I think about it when I read that stipulation, maybe I'm confused about what's at stake. But I will say the intensity has been there between the two of them. Again, they used to be friends back in the day on the same side. Wardlow decided to break out and do his own thing. Worker power to the people. And he wants out of his contract with MJF, which is giving, again, big Sasha Naomi vibes, big MJF Tony Khan vibes. So maybe in a way, he's just taking after MJF, which is really powerful. And so we saw the contract signing in Long Island, as we like to say as New Yorkers, right? New Yorkers, right? Yeah, Long Island and
Gabagoo.
And exactly, and and Wardlow got booed. What do you guys? What do you guys think of just this feud? I don't know if one of you wants like Ryan. I feel like you've done a lot of like. You quickly will break down what's going on with the feud. We've talked about this a little bit, and I know like when we were casually talking, you gave me an overview, but like, could you just sum up what's happening here? Because they've had a lot of beats on this freaking story.
Yeah, so I mean, Wardlow has been MJF's big beefy henchman for a long time. We all saw the seeds being planted for his babyface turn. We were all rooting for him to turn on him. He finally did, and I mean, MJF has been pulling the same thing he does every time. I'll give you a match, but 1, you cannot touch me. 2, you need to let me whip you 10 times. 3, you have to beat my henchman in a cage match. I think it's the exact same thing he's done with Chris Jericho, the exact same thing he did with CM Punk. I should be bored of it at this point, but I'm not, because, it's MJF. He makes it work. He's incredible. He's worth every dollar that they're paying him and probably whatever he's asking for. But again, this is them trying to set up Wardlow as their next big deal. And I think it's really given him a lot of room to shine. MJF, is just doing his rascally MJF stuff, always entertaining, always great, making people look fantastic. I think this has been the strongest storyline going into Double or Nothing. I've been enjoying it the most out of anything else, really.
Yeah, Ari, anything else to add?
Yeah, I'll add to that, where I think what's cool about this storyline is from the moment you saw Wardlow hanging out with MJF, you knew this was a ticking time bomb. You just knew. So it's been fun to watch the ride. The only problem with Wardlow is not good on the microphone. I almost feel like, imagine if they treated Rob Van Dam and gave him Goldberg's gimmick. It's very weird. Like, I don't understand. Like, I didn't know he was that strong. Is he? I feel like Jade Cargill's bigger than him.
But he's got real twitchy pecs that he moves around in ways that make me feel uncomfortable.
I'm not going to make a comment. I was going to try to make a Jade Cargill comment. That's not fair. But no, I mean, I think first of all, I will say I feel so bad for Rob Van Dam sometimes. Maybe he was never the big promo guy back in the day. He always had his 1 or 2 words. Like, Yeah, bro, dude. You know, he was like the first generation Riddle is what I would kind of say. First generation Matt Riddle in a sense, where like he's able to cut promos and do his thing. But you know, this is interesting. Wardlow is kind of like the Goldberg of AEW, and even visually, just aesthetically, like they've done things with him being accompanied by the security. Obviously, he's dominant. And you know, one thing that we saw, and Ryan, this kind of goes back to what you were saying with like the different labors that MJF has put people through. That we saw this whole thing where MJF and Sean Spears were like lashing Wardlow, and he's just taking it. And ultimately, MJF figured out, oh, I need to play by my rules. I need to kick him in the nards, which is a term that I've never said, but it works. You know, they're the nerds. And you know, I think it's powerful that we've seen Wardlow defeat every challenge in the way. And then there was this cage match, which at least by AEW rules for the match, you only win by pinfall or submission inside the cage. And so we saw Sean Spears knock MJF, who was the ref, I've seen referred to as MJ Ref, with a chair. And Wardlow won that match too. So we're going into Double or Nothing, and I don't know. I think there's so much that could happen, because to me, this match isn't even as simple as a win or a loss. Like, in theory, in my mind, Wardlow would win if this were a straight up match, but this is MJF, and MJF knows what he's going into. He's not going to be going in to have a straight up match. So, even before we get to the specific predictions, what do you two think we'll like actually see out of this match between MJF and Wardlow? What do you think?
I've got no idea. I think that's the great part, right? I seriously have no, because of the stipulations. Like, first of all, you probably need a lawyer to even figure out what the rules are. If X happens, Y will, like, it's very confusing. A lot of contract talk during all of this. So in terms of predictions, I don't know. The only thing I can see is if MJF decides to do a DQ or a dirty finish. That's the only way to get away with something. Or if we're talking lawyer talk here, maybe there's a loophole. Maybe Wardlow is banned from signing with AEW, but he becomes the Ring of Honor champion. He decides to show up that way. I'm really not sure how this is going to go. But if I had to predict, I'm going to go with MJF with like a dusty, awkward DQ finish. It'll rile everyone up, and they'll extend the storyline just a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think when you book yourself into a corner a lot of times with these sort of loser leave town matches. So, you know, we know Wardlow's not disappearing. He's got a big future with the company, but I think that's why Ring of Honor is exciting. Like you mentioned, he could be out of AEW, show up in ROH and have a run there. So I do think possibilities are pretty open here. I'm going with a Wardlow win just because I want to see it. You know, I think MJF might pull some shenanigans, but I want Wardlow to win. I'm going to will it into existence.
Yeah, there's also the meta of everything with MJF too, where obviously he's just worth so much to the company. I don't even want to think about what his initial contract with AEW is versus what his value is that he's contributing, because unless he's gotten raises or bonuses, or that man is probably underpaid and underappreciated by Tony Khan. So I want to say that maybe we'll just see this go to, I'm going to give this one to Wardlow, but I could see it going either way and them extending things more. The MJF stuff is so weird. And honestly, like, the thing that makes me think that a lot of the Tony Khan MJF drama is a work is because we're still seeing MJF booked so prominently and so well like that. But maybe it's just because Tony Khan isn't as petty. I don't know. Well, he does seem pretty petty though. Let's be fair. I don't know. I'm confused.
Is Buster Bluth petty?
Yeah, Mr. Petty. You know what? Let's actually take a quick ad break. Wait, Ari, how much do you love ads?
I can't wait to listen to one right now.
Oh, well, guess what? We're about to do it right now. All right, we are back. Ryan, how were those ads?
What a service and or product.
That is right, or both, potentially, depending on what was digitally inserted into this podcast. The phrase digital insertion is a very strange one for ads, but that's what it's called.
I'll keep my mouth shut.
See, and
linger on that a bit.
Exactly. So anyway, we're back and we are here for the women's Owen Hart tournament final. We'll talk about that first. Dr. Britt Baker versus not a doctor, Ruby Soho. And Ari, you just did the classic Tony Schiavone pointing thing. And by the way, do you just want to do that again for the YouTube viewers if you're not doing it? Yeah, you just do one more time. Give us the points. Yeah. So authentic. Yeah, that looked really great. And what? Okay, let's just start this out. So I pulled up the tournament bracket here just to take a look at the Owen Hart women's tournament as a little bit of a reminder, because when Mari and I talked about this, obviously we didn't know who the Joker would be going in on the women's side. That ended up being Maki Ito, who was handily defeated by Dr. Britt Baker, who obviously has made it to the finals, also defeating Toni Storm along the way. And then, on the other side of the bracket, there's Red Velvet. There's Chris Statlander, who is a late replacement, and we talked about that a little on the podcast. Riho and Ruby Soho, but Ruby Soho is the one who's made it to the finals here. The first thing I'll ask is, how did you two kind of feel about? How do you feel about this final showdown between Dr. Britt Baker and Ruby Soho?
I personally am very excited about it. I've seen this match before. They faced each other at Grand Slam. I was there in person. It was electric. It was the main event of the night. Ruby Soho had just debuted. It was half the crowd cheering D.M.D, half the crowd going Ruby Soho. It was an incredible match. I'm excited to see it again. Of course, you always want something new. Yeah, you always want something fresh, but I've seen them light it up before, and I think they're going to do it again.
Yeah. Ari, anything?
I am a Britt Baker stan since day one. I mean, there was a point in time where she was the best performer in the entire company. I don't care about Kenny Omega. I don't care about Adam Page. There was a point in time before probably the bigger signings. She was the best performer out there.
That's interesting. It's interesting because I was really thinking about this, and she was really at a point booked very, very strongly. I mean, even when Adam Cole debuted, and of course we saw the formation of we'll talk more about Adam Cole in just a second with the next match, but Britt Baker has been there shining this whole time. And for me, Britt Baker's always given me Charlotte Flair energy, which isn't a great thing. And I do appreciate that she likes Pittsburgh. I'm a fan of Pittsburgh. I think the people of Pittsburgh are beautiful. Mari, I'm just saying, we've had conversations about that.
That's
lovely people.
21.
Yes. Thank you. So, other than that, though, in my mind, Britt Baker was really in a different league when it came to just her place on the roster. Again, with that Charlotte Flair thing to some extent. But she got knocked down a peg by Thunder Rosa, got the championship taken away. And now she's in this place where I wonder kind of where they go from here. And actually just thinking of the AEW women's division and about Thunder Rosa and Serena, I mean, it makes me wonder, would we get another face versus face feud with Ruby Soho potentially winning here, facing Rosa, assuming Rosa wins? Are we going to get Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa again? Is that something that we'd be interested in?
Would that be the third time?
It would be
fourth.
I think so. Something like that. I'll take your word for it, because I know I've seen it a couple times at least at this point, including like the bloodbath of a match a year ago, right? Famously. And so there's not really a ton to say with this build because it was a tournament match and Ruby beat Chris Statlander with a clean roll up. And then, of course, the Doctor, Britt Baker, beat Tony Storm by grabbing the ropes. And so, yeah, I mean, I will say Ruby is really fired up and mentioned that she wants to hurt Britt, which they have history. So there's some receipts that have to be given there. But other than that, is there anything else that's worth noting for the Wrestling RHAPup listeners about this feud, about these performers, about this match?
Look, I'm not going to complain about a Ruby Soho Britt Baker match, and either one of them will have a great match with Thunder Rosa, but I do think there are a lot of missed opportunities in that bracket there. You know, I've been waiting for them to pull the trigger on Chris Statlander for a long time.
Yeah.
I love that alien. She's got a new gimmick now. She's a serious alien. Love that. Tony Storm, I really think could have used the shine, the momentum a little bit. So, you know, it's predictable, the people that are going in the ring tomorrow, but they're going to have a good match, so I can't be too angry about it.
Yeah, it's powerful. So let's get into those predictions. What do you think is going to happen here? And maybe the bigger question for me is, will Britt Baker eat the loss? Because I do feel like this is her match to lose. I don't know if I really know what that phrase means, but I'm going to stick with that.
My question is, what does the winner of the Owen Hart Cup tournament get? Is it a physical cup? Do you get a championship match, or is it just we get to say your name after Owen Hart? Like, I don't. What are we competing for here? More money? Like, I don't. What are the stakes?
Cup to drink out of?
Yeah, right here. Is this the Owen Hart?
Yes, that like that pimp. Yeah,
chalice.
The chalice, yeah, that's what's called.
Regardless of what the prize is, I'm still gonna predict a D.M.D. DDT.
What?
I think I'm gonna put my money on Britt Baker.
I just think I just wanted to point out, I appreciate your love for Britt Baker, and I wonder, do you like love going to the dentist or something? I don't know if people are wondering that, but it crossed my mind.
Going to the dentist, underrated.
Yeah.
They clean your teeth. It's very nice of them.
That's such a politically correct answer. Like you're trying not to piss off any dentists. Ryan.
We've got a lot of dentist listeners here. It's one of your strongest fan groups, I know.
We are trying to grow the dentist listenership. And, we have seen a lot of people putting fingers in people's mouths in wrestling. Actually, Britt Baker loves to do it too. So dental health is actually, hold on, I have to give a PSA for a second. Dental health is incredibly important. It's vital to your well-being. And in this pandemic, a lot of people actually, didn't go to the dentist because they just didn't want to get germs and other things in their mouth. So I don't know. I don't have a good way to end this. Let a dentist help you fix your mouth.
Important and
Everyone
powerful
smile. There we go. Thank you. That's gonna really. I'm hoping that the dentists appreciate that, and that Britt Baker, who's also a huge listener, just like Jade Cargill, is really, really into that. I'm really trying to work for the love of the performers here. But Ryan, this match, it's happening. Britt Baker's gonna win, right? That's my thinking.
Ruby Soho is going to win, my friends. I am ready to sort of sing along to one of the best entrance songs in AEW while she holds her new championship, her new cup, whatever she's winning. Well, she's winning something, and I think it's going to be a great moment.
And hopefully she gets to hold it. Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. When I was thinking about this tournament up front, I was thinking a lot about the Owen Hart name. And, Ruby would be great to see Ruby as like the first women's Owen Hart Cup winner, just because I feel like there's a legacy there, and that would make sense. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to give it to Britt here. Again, maybe this is just so I'm not disappointed in the end, but I love Ruby Soho, and obviously loved her comments about Sasha and Naomi. But again, someone else has the Sasha and Naomi counter going on. So, well, I'm probably on the 7th or 8th mention of them, and they deserve more of those mentions. But you know what? Let's talk a little bit about the men, the boys over on the other side. Them boys, as we like to say. So
them boys.
Them boys, actually, Ari. And, you know, we are seeing Samoa Joe versus Adam Cole in the final of the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament. Ari, what do you think about this?
Who was the Joker?
It was Johnny. Well,
Johnny Elite.
Yeah, but this is like, is it Johnny Elite? Is it John Hennigan? Is it John Morrison? Is it Johnny? What did he go by on Survivor? Mayor of Slamtown. Is it the George Bushy of Tushy? He also went by that. Yeah. So
Samoa Joe beat Johnny Elite. All right, cool. Yeah. So I don't even know what to make of Samoa Joe anymore. It's like, I don't know if is he old or young. Like he's been in the game for a minute. That's what I know.
Old.
But Adam Cole is like the new hotness. He has my attention. He's very charismatic on the mic. So you know what? I was talking about really looking forward to the AEW World Championship, but I'm looking forward to this one just to see again what direction do they go. I can see Samoa Joe winning. Does he not have the Ring of Honor title?
He does. He is. I believe he is still the ROH World TV Champion over there.
Love AEW because everyone always gets like some sort of like reward. We've got Owen Hart cups. We've got championship belts from other We got rings. You got actual like World Series rings you could put on. Everyone always has something to feel good about themselves. Like it's very everyone gets a trophy kind of thing. But
like kids soccer.
But like you were mentioning earlier, it's a tournament. So there's not much background or beef between them. It's just I'm the best. No, I'm the best. And ultimately, I don't know what direction they're gonna go. I think we'll see Adam Cole. I feel like they have a lot invested in him. He's rolling deep. He's got a whole squad with him, and I think it'll really make Adam Cole look like a badass taking on Samoa Joe, whose whole gimmick is I'm a badass and I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, and you know I will point out, like number one, this is an interesting feud because going back a year, and I call it a feud. I guess it's not really truly a feud, but this is an interesting match and showdown because I have an exclusive that I hope doesn't get this episode taken down from YouTube because WWE is petty. But here is a screenshot of Adam Cole being choked out by Samoa Joe in NXT mid to late last year with Kyle O'Reilly in the background. And
that's who that is.
Wild how quickly things changed. That like Bobby Fish is in AEW, Kyle O'Reilly is in AEW, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, William Regal, who was in that freaking segment, is also in AEW. Like what? That honestly, this one segment where I believe Samoa Joe was serving as William Regal's enforcer is just wild to think about. And you know what? I'm pretty sure it was almost exactly a year ago because I remember watching this when I was it was when I was in California at one point a year ago, which was in early June. So wild times, but that's the exclusive.
So what you're saying is this is basically a remix.
It is a remix. And you know what? I don't know how much they're like going back and like pulling that into the story, but you know, it is. I just thought it's notable. I think the NXT people think it's notable. But yeah, it's kind of cool that we got there, I guess. I don't know who was asking for Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. It's a great match, but I'm just looking at the tournament bracket again, and I actually thought that
swap out for Samoa Joe.
Oh, for Samoa Joe. Well, I guess on the left side of the bracket with Ray Phoenix, Kyle O'Reilly, Samoa Joe, and then Johnny Elite, I would have put I did think that Kyle O'Reilly actually could have won this tournament because he gives me some Owen Hart vibes, which is like a great wrestler, but also Owen Hart. And I wasn't watching wrestling when Owen Hart was around, unfortunately, before my time. But, he definitely was known for just being more of a joker and a cool guy. And I feel like Kyle O'Reilly, very cool guy. And then on the right side, I mean, it could have been cool to see Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole just to tease some ultimate elite tension or whatever they call themselves. So that's kind of what I would have done. But that's a great question, Ari. And one of the reasons I pull up the bracket, Ryan, who would you have rather seen in the finals? Or is this your ultimate final?
I'm pretty happy with the Samoa Joe Adam Cole matchup. I like both these guys, both big stars. I think they're going to put on a great match. And I was just thinking about this. Mm-hmm. They've been very vague about sort of what the winners of these tournaments get. They said it's a championship, but they've got a men's tournament and a women's tournament going at the same time. Could we see a unified mixed tag championships between the two winners? And if that's the case, as much as I would love the idea of a Ruby Soho Samoa Joe matchup, the Adam Cole and Britt Baker team just makes too much sense to me.
Huh. That would be wild if they're just like, let's throw in another championship into the mix. Because I feel like they've really been, I don't want to say that they've been, it's a couple things. AEW has sort of been building like this idea of trios. That's one of the things I've liked about AEW that I've kept up with, which is just like, okay, we have all these different 3-person teams. I mean, even Jurassic Express with Christian Cage is an example. You have Team Taz, which has had, different numbers of people at different times. And then all these other, stables and groups and factions. And so, that to me seems like that might be the next championship to come in, but unified mixed Owen Hart tag. Wait, let me try this. Everybody, up next, please welcome the unified mixed tag team Owen Hart Foundation men's and women's tournament winner champions, Britt Baker and Adam Cole, baby.
And then your jaws fall from your mouth because of how many syllables that is.
I don't even know what I just said.
I think just getting it all on the belt is going to be the problem here.
Honestly, and by the way, speaking of getting it all on the belt, I saw a picture on social media of complete unrelated, but Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti together, and the belt, the TNT on that championship, that little piece of the belt fell off. It just broke off. So, I mean, I don't know how they're going to keep on. If 3 letters can't stay on the belt, I don't know how 37 letters will stay on the belt. So there's a lot here. I mean, other things I just want to say about this Samoa Joe, Adam Cole thing. We mentioned Joe, ROH World TV Champion, and one of the things I saw in the lead up to this was this kind of cool. Well, I like that ROH is making its way onto AEW TV a bit. I love Mercedes Martinez, who is the ROH Unified Women's World Champion. But I also saw a clip of Joe kind of getting involved in a little bit of a fight, like a little, I'll call it a schmaz. Yeah, that sounds like a thing that I would say. With Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh over on one of the shows, maybe on AEW Dark. And so, there's some ROH stuff that Joe could get up to. So I'm going to just put out my official prediction here that I think Adam Cole will take this one. And, maybe, again, Adam Cole and Britt Baker as the cup winners is a fun little story that I think
tea party.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
1 girl, 2 cups. What? A guy, a girl, and 2 cups.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. We're gonna pretend that nobody remembers that reference after 13 years. Hopefully no one does. So So was that your prediction?
Adam Cole's gonna win. Yes.
My
prediction: Adam Cole's got this.
Mari, I'm so sorry.
22.
Well,
this is a mess without her.
I know. I'm so upset.
Well, Mari brings the professionalism, and I said earlier, drop the M, keep the Ari,
and drop the ATT too. Just get rid of me. I'm fired after this week. Sorry, Mari, but I guess this is my way to go out. Anyway, this is okay. Wait, Ryan, did you just give your prediction?
Adam Cole. I want Adam Cole and Britt Baker now. I think I chose Ruby Soho, but I'm changing my mind. I want them to win this mixed tag championship that I just made up and then tear through the roster of AEW's couples. Sammy Guevara and Tay Conti need to go down. Anna Jane, Jungle Boy, whoever else, I don't know. This is my prediction. New division.
Well, I mean, I like that idea, and I don't think it needs to be, in all seriousness, it doesn't need to be a championship. They could just have the cups together, and then that could be a whole storyline for them until, let's say, a year from now when they have the tournament again, maybe, potentially, and then they're put in the defending spot where they have to defend their tournament win, because something that WWE has done a lot is they'll have like the King of the Ring, and but they won't necessarily have the King defend they just said Queen of the Ring, right? They have all these new different tournaments. Mae Young Classic was another one. They never really intentionally have the previous winner defend their crown, or maybe they have had that, but that's not the structure. And I would like to see that in AEW, because I think that's compelling. Like, oh, you want to be the Owen Hart Cup tournament winner? Well, you have to get through me. And then we'll see Britt and Cole like in the tournament again against new opponents. That could be nice. Who knows? But awesome stuff. There we go. Where are we right now? Okay. There's another match to talk about, believe it or not. We have more matches to talk about. And you know what? We're gonna try to speed it up a little bit. Just because hopefully there's not a ton to get through with each of them. But also, we could be here forever talking about these matches. And so the next match that will... Wait. See, I'm professional. I'm making sure. The next match that we'll talk about is a tag team match with the Hardys versus the Young Bucks. Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson with Brandon Cutler. And let me just say, I loved the segment that I watched from just last night with the Young Bucks, where they dressed up as the Hardys. They worked an entire match as the Hardys against John Cruz and Taylor Rust. They won the match as the Hardys. They had Jay Cutler there, dressed up as Lita. They had Gangrel, who was part of, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25 years ago, who was Gangrel, part of the New Brood with the Hardys back in the day. It was a whole tribute. And then the Hardys came out and beat them up. But how are you two feeling about this match? Is there anything in the build that has been exciting or notable for you? Remembering that the Hardys just returned or just really debuted together, with Matt Ray being there, Jeff coming to AEW 2 months ago. Anything notable here?
This match is literally like watching the actual real Avengers fighting cosplayers. I cannot stand the Young Bucks. They have no original bone in their body. All they do is copy paste. So they bring out Gangrel. They're doing they're basically like creative players, and you like add the moves to other wrestlers. So I'm really looking forward to the Hardys winning, whooping their ass, and I hope, if we're lucky, we never see the Young Bucks ever again. They're corny, they're lame. Enough.
Yeah. And you know what? I will also just mention, to tie things back to tie some storylines together with Adam Cole. Obviously, Adam Cole and the Bucks are together as part of the Undisputed Elite, with also with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. And so we have seen a little bit of overlap. I guess it counts as a storyline where I would say that the seeds of this match were planted when the Bucks attacked the Hardys with Adam Cole's help, and then it kind of has led to this feud. And what's interesting to me is that, like, 10 plus years ago, in 2010 even, like the Hardys and Young Bucks were facing each other in what was then TNA, now Impact Wrestling, and they've gone up against each other multiple times. I actually read a story about how a few years back, before the Hardys returned together to WWE, I think at WrestleMania, they were planning on doing a match like with the Bucks in kind of like one of those deletion sort of matches on a beach. It's wild. I know that sounds ridiculous, but again, we're talking about Matt and Jeff Hardy, so it should all make sense. And yeah, this is going to be a really fun match. But like, Ryan, anything to mention or anything that's like good for the people to know about this story going into it?
I mean, I think the star of this story is going to be Brandon Cutler as Lita. I think he's going to shine. I think he's going to play a pivotal role in the match, and I can't wait to see him give it a shot. You're buddies with Lita, right?
Yeah, Lita, my favorite wrestler. What a lovely human. And you know what? Brandon, it's Brandon. It is Brandon Cutler. Why did I write down Jay Cutler? That's a different person. Anyway, yes, he did not do Lita justice, and it was sad to see. I'm assuming she's not showing up in. There were rumors back in the day, but I'm assuming she's not showing up in AEW here to even the odds. So we'll just let that one lie. Predictions for this match.
Go ahead.
Lita Cutler wins it for the Young Bucks, takes the championship, takes the W away.
That is the only scenario I am okay with the Young Bucks winning. I'm going to predict, just because I don't want to live in a world where the Young Bucks beat the Hardy Boys. I know it's a lifelong dream, but I'm going to predict the Hardys just because that's what I want to happen. I really dislike the Young Bucks, so I just want to make some of my dreams come true.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one to the Hardys. I'm just not a big Bucks fan. And Ari, I'm surprised you're not more of a Young Bucks fan, because famously they are very into their sneakers, their sneakerheads, and they're into the fashion.
I wonder who they copied that personality trait from.
Everybody. We're not even gonna go there. If I cared more about them, I would have that conversation, but I don't.
Bunch of cosplayers. Get them out of here.
Yeah, get them out of here. Get those Bucks out of here. Sounds horrible. Anyway, next matchup, Anarchy in the Arena. Chaos. It's the Jericho Appreciation Society. Chris Jericho, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, Daniel Garcia, and Jake Hager. Yes, those are all people. And versus Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz, and the Blackpool Combat Club, specifically Bryan Danielson and John Moxley, not Wheeler Yuta, with William Regal on the outside. This is a very interesting match, because Eddie Kingston, I just love Eddie Kingston. I love the way that he's kind of led so many different feuds in AEW, and so much, like, there's so much real about his story. There was a comment that Chris Jericho made in one of the promos leading up to this, that no wrestling company wants you. And I feel like that's an underlying theme for Eddie Kingston in AEW, where people are constantly talking about how nobody else wants him. And yet here he is, and we all want him, and we love him. And then there's Chris Jericho, who suddenly is a wizard. Ari, could you explain this? Because
I'll explain.
There's
AEW,
fashion, but there's magic, and I'm not up to date on the magic of AEW.
I've been comparing AEW to Arrested Development this entire show. Tony Khan is Buster, and of course we have a magician named Jericho. Who demands to be taken seriously.
Oh God.
Was he spitting fire now? What is happening?
I don't like this. I'm just saying, if you search Chris Jericho wizard, it all sorts of stuff comes up that is not related to this storyline. Very strange. Chris Jericho is a very questionable human being. But Chris Jericho Wizard, if you're looking at our YouTube, here's him in his wizard jacket.
I thought you were gonna show another wizard jacket.
No, I'm not gonna. I was like, that's not him as the wizard. I didn't even know that existed, but Chris Jericho is a horrible person. Let me just put that out there. And he's a piece of trash. But anyway, here's him in his wizardry thing. What is anything to say about Chris Jericho? I'm suddenly not interested in talking about Chris Jericho that much. But anything that you all want to say about Chris Jericho?
The last time I saw him, he didn't have abs. He got them now, though.
He got them back. You know, it's impressive.
Good for him.
He's turned it around. No, I mean, I don't know what an Anarchy in the Arena match is. I don't think it's happened before. I assume it's like Stadium Stampede. That was a good time. Maybe there'll be more magic involved, which will be exciting, apparently. But
the final countdown will play.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sad my boy Wheeler Yuta is not in here with the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club. He's been having a great run for the past month. But the rest of this, it's a good group of boys doing Anarchy things. With a wizard. Be careful, like talking trash about Chris Jericho now. He's magical. He could come for you.
God, Christian. Well, you know what? And you know, it's I really have not much to say about this match. And I think it's interesting because there are different pieces. Obviously, there's the Jericho Appreciation Society. We've talked about Jericho and the Appreciation Society a little. There's Eddie Kingston. There's the Santana Ortiz bit of it, which kind of overlaps more with Eddie Kingston. But then I almost feel like there's the Blackpool Combat Club, which is like this separate act with William Regal in this. Like, just because we're talking about them, any thoughts on the Blackpool Combat Club? Because it's just like this badass thing that's happening, and we haven't really talked about it on the Wrestling RHAPup yet with Danielson, Moxley, Regal, and Yuta, as you mentioned, Ryan, your boy.
Yeah, I mean, my boy. It's a great group. I mean, it's Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, and William Regal. I mean, you can't go wrong with that combo. They've brought in Wheeler Yuta, really catapulted him up the card, made him look like $1 million. I just don't think they know what to do with him right now. You know, they're sort of shoved into this match, kind of latched on to the feud between Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, just sort of there being badass. I really like them. I hope they just, you know, get a story or a feud or something sometime soon.
Yeah. I mean, let's just go for it. Predictions for this match? For the
Anarchy? There will be anarchy in the arena. 100%, 100. Jericho's always rolling deep. Like he always has friends. What a charismatic guy he is.
I think you'd say what a caring guy he is. Like,
even in the peak of the pandemic, he was rolling deep with friends at the Sturgis bike rally. He's a social guy.
Yeah. Could you imagine Chris Jericho's like, I really want to make sure that people have employment. So I'm gonna have a lot of factions, and I'm gonna have Matt Menard and Angelo Parker and Daniel Garcia and Jake Hager. Okay. But yeah, I'm just gonna predict that Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz, and the Blackpool Combat Club win. I just feel like that's a super powered team. There's no way they're losing to the Jericho Appreciation Society. No one appreciates the Jericho Appreciation Society. I don't even think that they appreciate themselves, and for good reason. They're associated with Chris Jericho. So we're going to go with the other team, the team that hopefully William Regal will be accompanying to the ring on Sunday. But other predictions here for the match other than Anarchy, because I'm assuming that the Anarchy will take place in the arena as opposed to all over the place like Stadium Stampede did back in the day.
I think we'll see some magic. I think we're gonna see some fireball out of Jericho. I think that's all I've got, right? Like he's gonna sprinkle some magic in there, do a nice job.
Magic isn't fire, it's science.
That's true.
That's my way of dragging Chris Jericho.
And a trick is something a whore does for money.
Yeah.
Well, now we need an Arrested Development counter as well.
Yeah.
We're just racking up the stats. I'm going with Team Kingston on this one. I mean, I don't know. They're too stacked. What, like Jake Hager's going to pin John Moxley? No way. They're going to come out of the Anarchy on top.
Matt Maynard's going to pin Bryan Danielson. Not going to happen. So, okay. This is it. So we have a couple more matches to talk through on the card. And the first one is 6-person tag match. The House of Black, Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King versus Death Triangle, Pac, Penta Oscuro, and Rey Fenix. And, I'll mention just things about this match. Ryan, you look like you're like, what's this match? Like, have I even heard of any of these people? That's the look I'm getting in your face, which I understand. I will say, I know that you probably have a lot to say about this match. Early this month, I guess there hasn't been a lot on TV, at least from what I've seen around this match, but the Varsity Blondes, Brian Pillman, Griff Garrison, along with Julia Hart, who has that rotting eye, called out the House of Black and were wrecked. And Julia Hart is on like the precipice of being evil. And almost hit Griff Garrison with a steel chair. She threatened to do it. Is she corrupted? Is she not? I don't know. Is she with House of Black or not? I don't know. And then, yeah, that's really all and then the Death Triangle guys brought out a gravestone that said House of Black on it. So that's what I've got for this story. But anything else? I don't think there is.
I think that's about it. There hasn't been much happening with the House of Black except for Julia Hart being sort of grumpy for the past 2 months now. But I don't know. I'm just glad to see Rey Fenix back. He broke his arm in that, or it looked like he broke his arm in that championship match with. With Jurassic Express. I thought it was one of the most gruesome injuries I've ever seen. And he's back in like 2 months. So good on him. Glad to see him back in the company.
Yeah. And he didn't break his arm. It looked like it. But
did you see it? It was like,
it looked like it. And I think it was just like multiple dislocate. It was dislocated or something really weird, but it wasn't broken somehow, which is how you don't want to look at that. Like if anyone's listening and they haven't seen this, and I would not recommend seeing it. If you have ever seen like Sid Vicious, I can't get this image out of my head of like Sid Vicious, who was like wrestling back in the 90s, who when he broke his leg in the ring after jumping from the second rope, like that is gruesome. That is what Phoenix's arm looked like. So dark times. I would not recommend seeing it, but I'm glad that he's back, and I don't really even know what to think for this match. I like just diving right to predictions for it. You know what? I'm gonna say that Death Triangle wins because they did take whatever death money that they have and they put it toward buying a tombstone, which is not cheap, and they really are committed. So I want to give it to them. And plus I love Pac. I don't know where he is, but I love him.
Yeah, I'll go with House of Black on this one just because they need to do something. They need to get a win. They need to move their storyline. I mean, Malachi Black just keeps getting more friends, but they're just sort of being moody. So I'll give them the win on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lights keep going out. I don't really get the House of Black, but I do like Malachi Black. And then the Death Triangle. I feel like their actual tag team name. There was a tag team in AEW called the Best Friends. These guys are the best friends. What a gang! These guys have been together as friends from like day one. I remember. Like what?
Who?
Pac, Penta, and Rey Fenix. I feel like they're always hanging out, and I never understood it. And you know what? At this point, I don't even want an explanation. I just like the fact that they're having drinks. They're going to lunch together. They're helping spot each other at the gym. And I want to shout out Penta. I've seen this guy live a few times, and no one that ever takes the microphone never gets as much crowd reaction as he does. It blows my mind. He is so cool. His gimmick is literally, I'm gonna snuff you in the head, and then everyone's gonna cheer. What a badass! I want to highlight Penta.
That'll be my
prediction. He'll snuff Malachi Black, but then he'll get his ass kicked, and I think we got a House of Black victory for this.
He's gonna get snuffed like a torch on Survivor.
You know what? Maybe that's an old school term from the hood, but like if you get snuffed, that means like you take your hands and you just push someone's head back.
Oh yeah, like, oh yeah,
you just got snuffed.
Yeah, as New Yorkers, we know that, right, Ryan?
Yeah. A lot of kids in the New York City public school system would get snuffed quite a bit.
I mean, I think I've been snuffed by a bunch of people all the time. I didn't know what
I've seen you get snuffed a couple times.
I think you've probably, I don't know if you've, okay. We're going to keep going on. It has happened. So the last match I want to talk about on this card, which I would say the actual best friends, whether they know it or not, of AEW, Hook and Danhausen, aka Hookhausen, taking on Tony Nese, and Smart Mark Sterling. And Tony Nese is actually managed by Smart Mark Sterling, and also teaming up with him, as you'll know, Jade Cargill is also accompanied by Smart Mark Sterling. So he's all over the place. But I just need to say, look, Hook, let me give some background here. Hook spoke for the first time, oddly sounding a lot like his father Taz, which I guess makes sense, but they look very different. And, spoke for the first time about a month ago. It was great. And there's been like this interesting, like I'd almost call it like a straight man gimmick where it's like Hook is the serious one, Danhausen is the goofy one. And, somehow Danhausen has been begging for Hook's attention. Hook gave it to him. I would love Hook's attention. What do you two think about all of this?
Man, I love these two guys. They're fascinating in ways I don't understand. Like Hook does nothing. He comes to the ring. He doesn't say anything. He beats people. He leaves. He has a badass Action Bronson theme song.
Yeah.
Danhausen just pops out of random corners from under the ring, puts curses on people, speaks in a weird noise. He has the jar full of human teeth. I don't know why I'm captivated by both these guys, but I'm obsessed with both of them. I'm very excited about them being a team together. They're the most exciting thing about Rampage every week. And I'm just pumped for whatever shenanigans happen in the ring.
Yeah.
I feel like that combination, like Danhausen's super weird. I've never heard of him before any of this. I still think he's super weird, but I feel like them two together, Hook looks like a Street Fighter character. So I feel like what we've done is we've taken like Marvel versus Capcom, and it's like, all right, well, I guess Danhausen and Hook are together now. That's it. That's a tag team. Like, it's a very interesting combo. But I'm just a Hook fan. I like what he's about. Although it was pretty funny to see Hook when he first spoke. He looked like he was just coming out of school.
Thank you.
His backpack on. Just got off the bus. He wanted some Lunchables.
Thank you. This is what I literally wrote that down. And I was like, I'm not gonna bring it up. Just let him be. But literally, he had his like white backpack on, and it's like, where are you coming from and where are you going? But that's the part that made it that much more ridiculous, because I'm like, something about a backpack. Like, you couldn't even have like the classic like roller bag that a lot of wrestlers have, or like, you couldn't be suited up, like we'll see in WWE sometimes when they're not wrestling. Like, Hook is well, I mean, you know what? And I'm not sure if he's from Red Hook specifically. He's one of our New York guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does it feel, Ari, especially as an authentic, to be represented by Hook?
He's a great representative. Although I'll say this: the real estate in New York, they're trying to change the name of the neighborhood Red Hook. I guess it sounds too dangerous.
Yeah,
and they're changing it to Gowanus. So I don't know what that says. If Hook was born in 2022, he might have a different name. But I think I'm just going to go back to Hook. Just reminds me of this character from Street Fighter named Add-On. Yeah. And he's got the whole kickboxer look. But you know what? I appreciate his silent but deadly character, even though he's a literal high school student.
That's real. And I think Gowanus is, I swore Gowanus is the name of an EDM band or something. So maybe I missed something. But you know what? Good for Hook. Oh, and Hook and I almost have the same birthday. So that's, except he's like almost 10 years younger. So look at that. Good to be old. Anyway, Ryan, anything you want to say about this match, and especially just predictions? Let's get into it. We've spent enough time with these boys.
I'll give the win to Danhausen and Gowanus. I think they're both awesome stars in their own unique way. What's our card now? We've got Wordle going over. We've got Gowanus going over.
Yeah,
got a whole new roster here. But yeah, I'll give it to the boys.
I like Hook's real name better. Tyler Cole Sinersha. Because like if we're gonna just rebrand everything and gentrify it, might as well give him that name instead of the Red Hook inspired name, I assume.
Gentrify, that's badass.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah, Hook and Danhausen, they've been really getting the build here, and it's interesting. There's something. This is gonna sound so stupid. There's something about how Danhausen moves that like freaks me out a little bit, like a snake, where I'm like, I don't like it. Like I'm just like a little thrown off by it. So I'm just saying, like, look, I want them to do well, but I also am still creeped out a little by Danhausen. Yeah, I don't like when people shimmy. It's very off-putting to me.
So you hate that Shaq gif, don't you?
Oh wait, I love that. I love it. And this is why you need to watch the YouTube version. But, okay, we got through the matches. We got through Double or Nothing. Anything else that you want to say about Double or Nothing specifically?
It's a stacked card.
Yeah, I mean, the roster is insane right now that they have. I mean, there's going to be great matches up and down the card. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So we did it. We covered Double or Nothing. But before we get out of here, I just really quickly want to talk about something. And I want to talk about something that's close to my heart. And a person that's close to my heart, really, which is, well, it's Sunny Kiss. I love Sunny Kiss. And I think especially as we get ready to go into Pride Month too, like I feel the need to bring up Sunny Kiss because just the other day, about 1 or 2 days ago, I saw a story where a fan asked, Sunny, where are you? And they replied, not on AEW TV. So Sunny Kiss has been absent from AEW TV for 580 days, which I think is notable because Ryan, I've said to you, Sunny Kiss, that is my character, that is my person in AEW, and we'll get Sunny Kiss on AEW Dark, but it's almost been 2 full years. It'll be 2 full years at some point. I'm not gonna do the math, but 580 days again since appearing on TV for AEW, and this is especially notable as a fan pointed out, a Twitter user actually by the name of Kenny Olivier, because of the phrase that AEW loves to use, which is that AEW is for everyone. And it's sad. It's sad that Sunny isn't on the shows more. It's sad that I don't know why as an incredible talent. But it brings me back to even a lot of the conversations about Sasha and Naomi, and even about other Black wrestlers in particular, but other wrestlers who maybe they don't get why this person connects with the audience, and yet it's because Sunny Kiss might not be for everybody, but Sunny Kiss connects with queer fans, with Black fans, with all sorts of fans, and is not on the shows. And so I don't know why it is, but what I will say is that I have loved just to see some of the fan reaction I've seen in response. I saw just a couple days ago, Sonya Deville, even from WWE, was responding to Sunny, who was advocating for more LGBTQ representation and education in education systems. So going beyond wrestling, just to co-sign that. And we don't have enough of that in wrestling. And it is sad thinking about how Sunny Kiss's last match on Dynamite was October 2020. Think about where we all were in October 2020. That was at literal lifetimes ago in a pandemic. And so I don't really have much to say about it. It's just exhausting and sad, but I wish that companies, and this is not only an AEW problem, it's not only a wrestling world problem, but just a corporation's problem overall. Like, I wish companies would stop saying that they stand with queer people when they're not actually putting their actions behind it. And there are lots of things we could speculate about why Sunny is not on the show, but I think just for what Sunny represents, like AEW, Tony Khan, you should be working to get that on your show. Like, if it's ring work, then make sure that Sunny's putting in the reps to get there. If it's a gimmick problem, figure out the gimmick. And speaking of which, I will mention, before even hearing any thoughts, if you want to throw in anything, Ari, Ryan, is that I did see a rumor, thankfully, that Sunny Kiss might be joining the baddie section with Jade, Cargill, Red Velvet, with that squad. So it could happen. It's a perfect fit in my mind, but it's just sad. It's unfortunate. This is what we see. We're used to it. Any comments, anything to add, anything you want to throw in there about the idea of AEW is for everyone? Because I think that's very far off from the truth, but you both know AEW more than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think AEW has made a lot of great contributions to wrestling and moved the wrestling world in a positive direction in a lot of ways. But I mean, this is one of the areas that really hasn't panned out the way that they promised when they started it. I mean, at the dawn of AEW, there was a lot of focus on representation. Nyla Rose was out front and center as a pillar of the company. Sunny Kiss, not so much, but was still sort of present and on television. And I mean, it's emblematic a lot of the diversity issues that AEW has had since its beginning. There's a lot of white dudes at the top of the card. And I mean, part of it is that, it's just run by some dude. And we've seen how sort of inelegantly he can handle a lot of these situations. We all saw the Big Swole situation blow up. So, I mean, it is sad that a lot of this hasn't panned out the way that I and a lot of other fans hoped for when AEW first rolled out. But you just got to hope that they're listening to the fans and that hopefully there's some positive progress. And Sunny Kiss in the baddie section sounds incredible.
I'm a fan of that. I think sometimes too, it's even as simple as getting that screen time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a perfect fit for Sunny Kiss. I'm in the baddie section. We're all in the baddie section.
We will be.
Sunny Kiss can come on down.
Yeah, you know what? This is it. We're putting all the pieces together. Let's do this. Okay, the PSA. Jade, here's what you need to do. You need to bring us into the baddie section. Ari, what are you going to be wearing? What did you talk about where you're going to have your little cutoff?
Midriff.
Yes,
crop tops all around.
I'll have a nice jacket on, a nice zip up, because I don't know if my abs will be at Jade Cargill levels by then. But Sunny Kiss, who is from Jersey City, from the Jersey area, he's like there. Sunny Kiss is non-binary and uses he, she, they pronouns. So I refer to Sunny Kiss as such. But Sunny Kiss will be in the baddie section with us in New York. I don't know what the dates are. Ari, get the tickets. Ryan, get the tailgate ready. I'll get the train ticket up to New York. Mari, come along. This is probably my 27th mention of you on this podcast. Yep. And good counting. And and hopefully Sunny Kiss is still there and around and thriving. But there's so much freaking opportunity to expand your fan base and bring others in and help them connect. And a world even where kind of just how with everything with Sasha and Naomi, me and Mari have just it's just been harder to watch and connect with WWE and what they're putting out there. And we're going to keep doing it, but still harder. It also makes it easier when there is that representation from someone like Sunny Kiss. You do see those fans showing up and flocking in and supporting. And so there's a huge opportunity, but the question is, Tony Khan, are you going to not only take advantage of that opportunity, but just welcome in this incredible talent who has so much to contribute? And I think I understand why it's not happening, or maybe one reason why. And I think it's the thing that we've seen with Survivor, where when you throw out more diversity in a place where there hasn't been it, you're going to get a lot of hatred and other horrible comments and things. We just saw the first Black woman winner, Mary Ann, in 20 years, and she's getting a ton of crap for that, even though she totally deserved it. Also, a ton of love. And so I just hope that they'll make more space. But I don't have much else to say on that. I love Sunny Kiss and hope for the best, but that's all I've got. This is the Wrestling RHAPup. We're wrapping up. We're wrapping it up. You know what? As we wrap up, any like final thoughts on just AEW and on anything we've talked about today? Maybe even to start with you, Ari.
I got nothing for once.
You said
we've
been
summed
2
it
hours
all
of
up.
talking about it. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, just going down this card has reminded me how many talented people are on the AEW roster. So, I mean, when you got that many talented folks in a room together, they're going to put together a heck of a show. Even if you've got Buster calling the shots, you can't screw it up too bad.
You know what? Great point. Great point, Ryan. Just because there's a few folks we're missing from the card. No Darby Allin.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's stacked.
Yeah. And so, speaking of stacked, I know that Ari, you're always up to a lot. You've got a stacked calendar over there. Thank you for being here. Thank you. We're glad we could fit into your calendar. But like, any plugs? Like, where could the people find you? And anything you want to share, announce, plug?
Yeah, you know what? It has been a busy time. So right now, the only thing I've been able to keep up with is Instagram. So you can just follow me at REL De Jesus on Instagram. Just posting stories of what I'm doing throughout the day. But I might hop on Twitch and do some Mario Party. So holler at me if you want to join the party.
Holla if you hear me. And Ryan, anything you want to plug, shout out, or even shout at, like anything?
Yeah, I'm at Sir Ricky Clantoplin on Instagram. If you're a fan of occasional pictures of my brother's dog, that's the quality content you'll get there. But that's about it.
Yeah, and you know what? You can find me on social media at Matt Scott GW. There is an exciting podcast coming out on the RHP network that I'm part of, and I'm not going to announce it yet, but it's coming June 1st. And just check it out. It's focused on LGBTQ representation, and I'll leave it at that. But working on that with another incredible podcaster. Speaking of that representation, was working on, or just actually finished covering the show Heartstopper on Netflix, which was just renewed for 2 more seasons with Grace Leader, who is one of our other, maybe our one other AEW superfan expert consultant who couldn't be here today, but Grace is phenomenal. And so check that out if you loved Heartstopper. And then also, I'll mention Survivor just wrapped up. I mentioned that a second ago, but I have my show Pod Friends coming back, where I interview people in the RHP community, and I'm happy to announce that the first episode of Pod Friends Season 2 features none other than T-Bird, Teresa Cooper from Survivor, and T-Bird is phenomenal. She has a show called Talking with T-Bird on RHAP. I love T-Bird, loved our conversation, and so I would love for you to check out Pod Friends once that's back. Other than that, follow Mari at Mari Talks Too Much. Do it with me. 2, like the number 2. Like the two. Oh, look at that. Oh, the peace signs. Oh, yeah. Mari Talks Too Much. I think I got to 30 mentions. There we go. And again, you could email us wrestling@robhasawebsite.com. We're on social media, hashtag Wrestling RHAPup, at Wrestling RHAPup on Twitter. You could join the Job Has a Squadcast group. Just tweet us at Wrestling RHAPup. We're at Matt Scott GW, at Mari Talks Too Much. DM us, whatever, and we'll get you in there. Subscribe to the podcast, robhasawebsite.com/wrestling feed. Watch us on YouTube, like I mentioned. Check out the show notes for all the things I'm mentioning. There's so much great stuff. But thank you both for being here. And I'm going to steal from Mari, because as Mari says each and every week, wrestling is for everybody. But not all wrestling is for everyone. Think about it. All right, there we go. We're doing the outro.
Throw 'em up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling RHAPup's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock, cause I'm driving in Ferraris. And we coming every week and it's feeling like a party. Mula Ric Flair, showing out like Bianca Belair, Best podcast, flush it in the air, Roman Reigns and we win it, don't care, No cap. Throw 'em up, lay it down just like Matt and Mari. Wrestling RHAPup's gonna make it sorry. Feeling like The Rock, cause I'm driving in Ferraris, and we coming every week and it's feeling like a party.